Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Lord Premanandi. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Sattara Sattva Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Lord Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Lotus feet to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we'll be reading from the 9th canto, chapter 5, text 26. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, I first of all offer my obeisances unto Narayan, the personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. I also offer my obeisances unto His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the translator and commentator, and to all of the assembled Vaishnavas, from whom I would like to ask your blessings that I can speak something which is genuine, bona fide, which will be inspiring for your Krishna consciousness, and which will purify my own rotten heart. Thank you very much. So, recite the verse here. Shri Shukuvacha. Is there a light? There's no light here, no? Okay, fine. I think I need new glasses. I think I'll look here. That's okay, I'll look here. Atambarisha stanayeshu rajyam samanashileshu vishrijadhiraha Vanam viveshatmani vasudeve Mano dadadvastaguna pravaha Shri Shukovacha Atambarishasthanayeshu rajyam Samanashileshu vishrijadhiraha Vanam viveshatmani vasudeve Mano dadadvasta guna pravaha. Shri Shuka Vacha Atambarishastana Yeshu Rajyam Samana Shileshu Vishrijya Dhiraha Vanam Viveshatmani Vasudeve Mano dadadvasta guna pravaha. Devotees. Ladies. Shri Shuka Vacha. Shri Shukadev Goswami said, Ata, in this way, Ambarishaha, King Ambarisha, Tanayeshu, unto his sons, Rajyam, the kingdom, Samana Shileshu, who were equally as qualified as their father. Vishrijya, dividing. Dhiraha, the most learned person. Maharaj Ambarisha. Vanam, into the forest. Vivesha, entered. Atmani, unto the Supreme Lord. Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, who is known as Vasudev. Manaha, mind. Dadat, concentrating. Dvasta, vanquished. Guna pravaha, the waves of the material modes of nature. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Shukadev Goswami continued. Thereafter, because of his advanced position in devotional life, Maharaj Ambarisha, who no longer desired to live with material things, retired from active family life. He divided his property among his sons, who were equally as qualified, and he himself took the order of Vanaprast and went to the forest to concentrate his mind fully upon Lord Vasudeva. Please repeat. Srila Shukadev Goswami continued. Thereafter, because of his advanced position in devotional life, Maharaj Ambarish, who no longer desired to live with material things, retired from active family life. He divided his property among his sons, who were equally as qualified, and he himself took the order of Vanaprastha and went to the forest to concentrate his mind fully upon Lord Vasudeva. Purport. As a pure devotee, Maharaj Ambarish was liberated in any condition of life because, as enunciated by Srila Rupa Goswami, a devotee is always liberated. Iha yasya harer dasye karmana manasa gira nikilasvapyafastasu jivan mukta sa uchyate. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami thus instructs that if one's only desire is service to the Lord, he is liberated in any condition of life. Maharaj Ambarish was undoubtedly liberated in any condition, but as an ideal king, he accepted the Vanaprastha order of retirement from family life. It is essential for one to renounce family responsibilities and fully concentrate on the lotus feet of Vasudeva. Therefore, Maharaj Ambarish divided the kingdom among his sons and retired from family life. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militanjena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai. So here we see, on recent verses we've been looking at the character and activities of Maharaj Ambarish, how he was an ideal example of how to respond to provoking situations, and we see how that all turned out perfectly by the grace of Krishna, because of Maharaj Ambarish's being a madpara, or completely dedicated soul to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And now we're seeing that he's setting a further example by leaving behind his material responsibilities, leaving behind his family, and entering into the vanaprastha stage of life. So it's mentioned here in the purport that Maharaj Ambarish was already liberated. Because he was doing everything for Krishna, therefore he was jivan mukta. Even in whatever condition of life he was in, he's already a liberated soul. So then why was it necessary for him to enter into the vanaprastha ashram? And the answer is that because this is Krishna's system. Krishna created the varnashram system. He says, Chaturvarna Mayashrishtam. Mayashrishtam means I created this system of the 4 varnas and the 4 ashrams. So that means that because Krishna created this system for all humanity, then it applies to each and every one of us. That we start off with brahmachari. So brahmachari is training and education. So in the brahmachari ashram you learn that I'm not this body. The purpose of human life is not sense gratification, but rather it's to realize our relationship with the Supreme Lord. This world is not our home. We have a place in the spiritual world and we have to get back there. And also in the course of the brahmachari ashram there's a great deal of purification that goes on through the process of sadhana bhakti, through menial service under the guidance of the spiritual master. And that's all preparing us for the next ashram, which is grihastha. So it's just like an athlete. They undergo rigid training and discipline so that they can have the strength to run the marathon. So in the same way, the brahmachari gets training so that he has the spiritual strength and control of his senses and dedication to the lotus feet of Guru and Krishna, so that when he enters into grihastha ashram for that second stage of purification, he's got the strength to get to the end of it. Like when we run a marathon, the training is so that, it's like in big marathons, like for example London Marathon, they get many, just not athletes, but just common people who will run it. And they know they're not going to get any gold medal, they're not going to be first place, but their goal is just to reach the finish line. So in the same way, when we enter into grihastha life, it's like a marathon. And you have to reach the finish line. So all that training in brahmachari in the ashram is like, so that you can get to the end of it, so you can finish your grihastha business and move on. One way of looking at it is like we're all born into the material world with lots of anarthas. It's not by chance that we have a material body and that we're in the material world. It's because we have to purify ourselves. So the varnashram system is a process of purification. And it's like if you have a cloth, so you have a nice white cloth, but it's covered in stains. So that's like our consciousness. Our consciousness is pure. Prabhupada says that we are all originally Krishna conscious entities. But because of our association with matter, since time immemorial, our consciousness has become polluted due to the material atmosphere. So the white cloth has become stained, contaminated, polluted in so many ways, just by, being used, association with, the dirtiness of the material world. And so we have to wash the cloth. It's like put the clothes in the washing machine. So there's all different kinds of stains on there. There's dirt, there's blood, there's food stains, there's motor oil, there's whatever you've been doing, it's on your clothes. And certain types of stains will get out with certain types of detergents. Dirt comes out nice easily with soap and warm water. And then other things, maybe you need bleach, or you need bleach and vinegar, or you need, paint thinner, or, some kind of heavy solvent to get that stain out. So for someone whose heart is not, very heavily contaminated, their consciousness is not, really super stained, then maybe after the brahmacharya ashram, they're like, okay, that's it. I learned what I have to learn. And they can just fully dedicate themselves to, 100% service of Krishna. But for others, it's like that brahmacharya training cleans off the caked on mud that's covering the other stains that are underneath it all. And then after so many years in the brahmacharya ashram, you're like, oh my God, I need something. You feel like you need another situation. And you actually do need another situation, because maybe those anarthas are not going to be taken out in the brahmacharya ashram. So you need another type of detergent. So grihastha ashram is like it's like that heavy, heavily soiled program on the washing machine. So in the grihastha, those of you who've been through grihastha ashram, it's like, it's rigorous. It's like, it really churns up a lot of things that, didn't really come to the surface in the brahmacharya ashram. And so it's very good. And the result of that churning is that all of the theoretical knowledge that we gain through our studies in the brahmacharya ashram becomes realized. Our jnana becomes vijnana. And we actually realize that, yes, the material world is a place of suffering. That there's no real love in material relationships. That nobody can give us protection except Krishna. As we go into it, we go into grihashram with all these things that I'm going to find fulfillment in, material relationships, and having my own situation, and being so-called independent. And by the end of it, we realize, no, the only fulfillment is my relationship with Krishna. The only relationship that's really going to last, that's going to give me real happiness and satisfaction in every aspect of my being, is my relationship with Krishna. And therefore, the grihastha ashram, it starts off small, and it's like a bell curve. It starts off small, and then, so you're struggling to, establish yourself in grihastha ashram, home and family. It's the whole verse that Lord Rishabhadeva speaks. Pumsam striya mituni bhavametam. How's it go? Tayor mito hridaya grantis ahu. Ato grihakshetra sutapta vitar janasya mohoyam aham mameti. So first marriage, then, home, griha, kshetra, land, sutta, children, apta, relatives, vitar, wealth. You're accumulating. So the grihastha ashram is like you start off with basically nothing, and you're like, it's growing, it's growing, it's growing. And then all of a sudden, wait a minute, what's happening, Body's getting old. The children are, getting married and moving out. My husband or wife is not so interested in me anymore. And it all starts falling apart. And you reflect on all the reasons why you entered into married life. And you find that, well, none of those reasons are really valid anymore. I wanted this, I don't want that anymore. I had this desire, I don't really desire that anymore. I had this attachment, I can quite easily let go of that now. So around the age of 50, all this starts happening. You start having these realizations. And not only that, but because Krishna's system is so perfect, it actually works with the whole biology and psychology of the human being. So we know that biologically, at the age of 40, around the age of 40, the male body starts to decline in its production of testosterone. And the female body has a very drastic, biological change in that, the whole reproductive system just switches off. It's like shuts down. It's over. There's no turning back now. Even if you wanted to go back to, those lovely childbearing years, it's like, no, it's done. You've had it. So then, now what? And also psychologically, it's very common for people around the mid-40s, 50 to have this midlife crisis. I actually researched, what does a midlife crisis entail? And it's like, you get this feeling of being trapped in your situation, and you need to get free. You need to break out. You want a big change. Mentally, you feel like you really need a big change in life. And so materialistic people, sometimes they will, start a new career at age, 48 or something. Or they'll disconnect from all their old friends and try to, establish a new friendship group. Or many things. Or maybe they'll go and, try to get a new image, buy a new sports car or a Harley, or, get plastic surgery. They do all these things because they need a change. They need a big change. They want to completely change their life, their situation, their occupation, their association. And so psychologically, it's because Krishna's system is that around the same age that all this happens, we're supposed to be leaving the Grihastha ashram, which we've identified so strongly with for the last 20-odd years, and go into a completely different phase of life, which is a life of renunciation in the Grihastha ashram. So all of these are signs. It's like a. Also, we can use the analogy of the caterpillar. So a caterpillar, his job is basically to eat. He just eats and eats and eats. And then when he's packed it in to the maximum and he's grown, then what does he do? He makes a cocoon. So then he makes the cocoon around himself, all these layers and layers and layers of thin thread, these thin fibers, and he completely pens himself in there where he can't see the light of day. So you could compare, you could do a rough comparison that Brahmacharya ashram is like he's eating. He's, of course, he's taking a lot of prasadam, but he's also accumulating knowledge. He's building up his base of austerity, of knowledge, of self, all these things. And he's preparing himself so that when he goes into the cocoon of the Grihastha ashram, he can survive, because during that time the caterpillar doesn't eat. He's locked in. So, sometimes in the Grihastha ashram, you can do less service than you could in the brahmacharya days, because maybe you have to take up a material occupation, you've got household duties, so you're less, engaged in pure constitutional devotional service. So the brahmacharya ashram is so that you survive. He doesn't die in the cocoon. But the whole point of going to the cocoon, okay, another thing is that the caterpillar, he's free to move around. But in the cocoon, he's stuck. He's immobile. So sometimes it appears that when devotees go into the Grihastha ashram, it's like there's not a whole lot of advancement going on. It looks like that. It looks like they're not really going on. They're kind of stagnated. But actually what's going on in that cocoon for the caterpillar, he's undergoing a major transformation, right? His whole body is completely being replaced with another body. So in the Grihastha ashram, it's the same. The person in the Grihastha is through this rigorous cleansing. He's transforming. So much transformation happens in the Grihastha ashram. So you get to the point where when the caterpillar is finished with his transforming, then he breaks out. He breaks out of the cocoon. So the point is not to go into the cocoon and die in the cocoon. He's got to get out. It's part of the process so that he can realize his true self, so that he can manifest his true form as, a beautiful butterfly and fly in the sky. So in the same way, the purification of Grihastha ashram, it's not that you don't die in the Grihastha ashram. So Maharaj Ambarish is setting the example that, even though he was an ideal devotee, still, he may have been an ideal devotee, But the Grihastha ashrama is not the ideal situation to be in, to completely depend on Krishna and render, 100% devotional service to Krishna. So therefore he sets this example. So the children are grown up, everything's done. While you're still 50 years old, you've still got a lot of life in you. It's like, don't wait until you're 70 and you're like, oh, I can't do anything anymore, you may as well die, to leave the Grihastha ashram. And it's like, do it when you're 50, because then you can preach. And the world so much needs it. And if you look at it, it's like when you're 50 years old, you've been through all the brahmachari training, you've experienced so many things in Grihastha ashram, you're purified, you've got knowledge, you've got realization, you've got experience, you probably raised children, you've maybe had a career, you're mature. So whereas maybe you thought as a brahmachari you weren't such a great preacher, as a vanaprastha you'll be amazing. You've got all these additional qualifications where you can really, in a very mature, sensitive, realized way, help so many people. And my personal experience is that, in the last couple of years, it's kind of providential that I got this verse, because personally I'm, in the process of transitioning into the Vanaprastha ashram. So the past few years I've been doing more traveling and just kind of leaving my family in Mayapur and going here and there. And everywhere I go, I feel, devotees. When I was in Australia, I was in the Sankirtan house there doing book distribution and giving classes, and the devotees are like, Mataji, please stay, stay with us, be the house mother, inspire the devotees need someone to take care of them, and, and then when I was in London, they're like, Mataji, please stay, we need you, who else is going to give us, all the love, and who else has all this knowledge, and is so accessible, and then I went to Gainesville, and I was staying there in the ashram. And Mataji, please be the ashram leader. We need somebody who's mature and who can guide the girls into Grihastha ashram, and through prepare them for all the experiences that they're going to have in life. And so it's so much needed. But if we just stay in our homes, with our families, the alternative is just that we're just going to be there with our aging bodies, complaining about all of our aches and pains, and waiting for the grandchildren to come so that we can have the second wave of insane emotional attachment. It's like, let your kids raise their own kids, let them fight, let them struggle, it's good for young people to struggle. Sometimes people say, oh, but my son, he just got married and he's struggling financially. Let him struggle. That's how he becomes strong. Don't spoil him till he's, 40. Let them get on with their lives, and don't be a burden. Don't just stay hanging around thinking, oh, now you have to support me. Depend on Krishna. And when we depend on Krishna, it's like Krishna reciprocates so much. He actually wants us to depend on him. He says so in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, in all of your activities, just depend on me and work fully under my protection. And if you do that, then you will easily cross over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. So we don't have anything to worry about. If we depend on our family members, it's like the Bhagavatam says that they're fallible soldiers. What's the verse? Deha patya kalatradish vatma sainyeshu satsvapi. He says that this deha, the body, deha, patya, children, kala, wife, and adi, everything else that goes with it, they're all fallible soldiers. Sanyesh vasatsvapi. Asat, they're asat. These soldiers are asat, they're temporary, they're fallible. They're going to let you down at some stage. And not only that, but if you stay attached to them, then, how's it go? I think I wrote this verse down. No. Anyways, if you stay attached to them, then it's like the next thing is pramato nidanam, that you forget about the fact that, it's all going to be destroyed. And pashyan api na pashyati. Although you see that people are dying all around you, you're thinking, you don't see. I like that part. Pashyan api na pashyati. Although seeing, you don't see. So although seeing that everybody's going to die, you're not seeing that. It won't happen to me. No, I'm going to be happy in my life. I'm going to stay with my family, and it's going to go on forever. And I'm going to help them, and they're going to help me, and it's all going to be wonderful. No, it's not. Nobody can help you except Krishna. And everything's going to come to an end. And therefore, we just need to take shelter of Krishna because he's the only one who's infallible. Krishna's name is Achyuta. In Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna addresses him as Achyuta. And there in that purport, in the first chapter, Srila Prabhupada explains that Krishna is infallible because he never fails in his affection for his devotees. Krishna's affection it's not like it comes and goes. It's not that one day he treats you nicely and the next day he doesn't care less. No, Krishna's affection never fails. It's constant, it's consistent, always there. Krishna always loves us. He's always ready to help us. He's always uplifting us and supporting us, and he's our well-wisher. He's our best friend. We're thinking, but if I leave my home and my family, who's going to give me shelter? Who's going to, be with me? My wife, my husband's been my constant companion. Constant? You've been together for how long? 20 years, 30 years, 40 years at the most? Your constant companion is Krishna. He's been with you millions of lifetimes. What about him? You think this pile of bricks and mortar and wires and plumbing is going to give you shelter? Srila Prabhupada built a house in which the whole world can live. And Krishna is the ultimate shelter of everyone. So we just need to take shelter of Krishna. And Krishna also never fails in his protection. He promises to Arjuna, Konteya pratijanihi namai bhaktya pranashyati. Declare it boldly. You say it, Arjuna, because if I say it, they won't believe me. You say it. Because everybody knows that I break my promises, but I will never let the promise of a devotee go unfulfilled. So declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. And what about our maintenance? Krishna says that yoga kshema vaham yaham. That to those who, what is it? How does it start? To those who are constantly devoted to me and who worship me with exclusive devotion, to them I preserve what they have and I carry what they lack. So this point of exclusive devotion is very important. Ananyo chintayanto mam. Ananya. No, nothing else. Anya means another thing. And a means not. So no other thing. There should be no other thing in your life except Krishna. No other object of meditation. Chintayanto means your consciousness. Your consciousness should not be on any other thing except Krishna. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, at the time of death, Antakali chamam eva. At the end of your life, if you think of me alone, mam eva, me alone. And Johnny Maspur was saying yesterday in the class about how the whole, Krishna performed the whole Govardhan Leela to show us that there should be nobody else except Krishna. Forget about Indra, forget about all the demigods. No one else is going to help you. You don't need anyone else. Me, just worship me, Krishna is saying. And Govardhan Hill is not different from me, so yeah, just worship Krishna. And when we live our lives like this, putting Krishna in the center, it's just fully depending on Krishna, then like I was saying, Krishna really reciprocates. And he does provide, and he does protect, and we feel his love. We feel his affection in a very deep and real way. And that increases our faith so much. And it increases our love so much. And it's very difficult to actually do that in the Grihastha ashram. Because there are all these artificial support things going on. But it's very easy to do that in the Vanaprastha or the Sannyas ashram, because none of those are there. Your only support is Krishna. And therefore, in those later ashrams, it's very easy for our love for Krishna to grow. And that's the goal, Krishna Prema. I wanted to read a few quotes here from Srila Prabhupada. I probably should have read these earlier, but anyways, I'll just read them now. Prabhupada says, "One should not rot in the dark well of family life till one is dragged out by the will of Yamaraj." He says, in the 9th canto, 19th chapter, "One should be very much ashamed of remaining a householder and not promoting oneself to the two higher stages, namely Vanaprastha and Sannyas." Don't kill the messenger. I'm just saying what Prabhupada said. In the same purport, he says, if one permanently concentrates on living with his family, one should be understood to be killing oneself. And there's one more. This is in the 1st canto in relation to Dhritarashtra. To stick to family life to the end of one's human life is the grossest type of degradation. Very heavy statements. So it's very clear what we have to do. This is Krishna's system. Lord Chaitanya and all of his followers exemplified and also preached this path of vairagya. All of the acharyas in our disciplic succession, they also set the example of renouncing. Even Bhaktivinoda Thakur, you could say, yeah, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was the ideal grihastha. And, he had a wonderful grihastha life. In fact, there's a song that Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings where he says that one day he was at home and he was doing his bhajan and he looked around and he thought, my household is Goloka Vrindavan. So we may have a very Krishna conscious grihastha ashram. I'm sure Maharaj Ambarish did. We may feel like, why should I leave? My house is so Krishna conscious. My children are always chanting Hare Krishna. My wife is serving the deity so nicely. We take prasadam, we have programs, we do kirtan, we invite sannyasis over. It's wonderful. It's so Krishna. It's like Goloka Vrindavan. That's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur said. But at the end we see that Bhaktivinoda Thakur also left his household life. He didn't take sannyas, but he took Babaji. And he just left it all and got completely absorbed in chanting and hearing and writing. So we all have to come to that stage. Okay, I better stop here. I guess maybe this was a sensitive topic for some devotees. But I think when young devotees, it's a relevant topic for all of us, not only those of us who are, approaching age 50, but even those of us who are young and are just starting or thinking about starting Grihastha Ashram. We shouldn't be like, Abhimanyu, that he knew how to get into the Chaturvyuha, but he didn't know how to get out. So when we're thinking about going into Grihastha Ashram, we have to, yes, get training about how to have a Krishna conscious Grihastha Ashram life. How to deal with your spouse nicely, how to raise your children in Krishna consciousness, but also get the training about how to get out. Because it's not forever. This journey back to Godhead, it's like a road. And we pass through different, stretches on that road. And, sometimes it's smooth stretches, sometimes it's rocky road, but there's no dead end. It shouldn't be a dead end. We need to keep progressing. And we should always remember that this is Krishna's system, and Krishna's perfect, and if we follow this perfect system, our lives will be perfect. Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments, doubts, or anything on this topic? Yes, just grab the mic there.
Hare Krishna. Mataji, I have a doubt that I just remembered that, I don't know where exactly, I cannot quote, but bhakti is independent of all the external situations.
Yeah.
So how in this context we understand that whether we are in any ashram, be it any ashram, bhakti is independent of the external situation.
Yeah, in any ashram, bhakti is there. It's Devi Varnashram. So ashram means a place where spiritual life is prominent. So that means wherever bhakti. It's just like, I mean, if I think about my own life. So I was in the Brahmacharini ashram. I was very Krishna conscious. Full morning program, full-time book distribution, you know, giving all the Lakshmi to the temple, nothing for me, everything for Krishna, that kind of thing. And I was very Krishna conscious. Then I entered the Grihastha ashram, and then, you know, I really tried my best to, you know, have a Krishna conscious Grihastha ashram, raise my children in Krishna consciousness, my husband and I doing service together, book distribution and preaching and so many things. I was very Krishna conscious. There was bhakti. I would say that my Krishna consciousness in the Grihastha ashram, although I was Krishna conscious in the Brahmacharini ashram, I feel like my Krishna consciousness went up a notch in the Grihastha ashram. Because you really have to, like, Krishna, give me the strength, you know, to deal with all the complicated situations that come up. But then now leaving, my short experience of, you know, leaving the Grihastha ashram, I feel like my Krishna consciousness has again come up a notch. So it's like, bhakti is like going throughout. But as you go through these higher and higher stages, your bhakti increases, and then increases, and then increases. So that's the system. Bhakti is independent. Bhakti is always there. But Krishna's system is how to accelerate the development of bhakti. Okay? Yes, Chintamani Dhammadiji in the back there.
Thank you so much for such a nice class and so well researched, and the additional benefits of your own personal realization. I'm very grateful to be able to participate and hear your class. But because Prabhupada said we should become practiced in seeing things from different lights of vision,
yes,
I would just like to maybe contribute it as a different light.
Mm-hmm, please do.
It's not that your light was wrong, but just another perspective as well. And that the full spectrum of the ashrams depends on our own nature.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think sometimes, you know, if we try to artificially be something we're not intrinsically, according to our material swabhav. Oh, so sorry. Yes. If we sometimes, I know myself in my life, I've often felt very discouraged in my devotional service because
mm-hmm.
I've tried to be something which is not my material swabhav.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried to be maybe like the Brahmins, who are naturally Brahmins, or maybe more like the Kshatriyas, or even the Vaishyas. But unfortunately, I'm less than a Shudra. So if I try to be, and I expect myself to be something which is appropriate for those who are Brahminical, or those who are Kshatriyas by nature, or those who are Vaishyas, I just fall flat on my face. And I just wanted to kind of like add that perspective, that the full spectrum of going through each ashram depends on your own internal swabhav. So the Shudras, just Grihastha ashram is meant for them. Because if you can just remain faithful to one partner and be responsible and maintain your Krishna consciousness, we're doing really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we happen to have our natural swabhav is a Vaishya, then 2 ashrams are appropriate, Brahmachari and Grihastha. If our natural swabhav is a Kshatriya, then 3 ashrams. And if your natural swabhav is a Brahman, then the 4 ashrams. So I just want to kind of add that perspective, because I know that sometimes we can set ourselves up with expectations and not have a more rounded picture, and then end up feeling kind of like disappointed or frustrated or falling really, because we've put ourselves in a situation which is artificial for our own swabhav. So I just want to kind of like insert that perspective as well. You taking the kind of renunciation that so enlivens you, which is so appropriate for you, I think each of us has to carefully consider whether that level would enliven me, would help me to keep hearing and chanting about Krishna. And I would just like to add that point too, because in the very first canto, the 2nd chapter, because the sages asked, these 6 questions, and 2 of them is, what is the highest goal and what is the highest duty? The highest duty is not Varnashram. Varnashram is supportive. The highest duty is to hear about and glorify and remember Krishna. So I think, depending on our natural swabhav, we have to situate ourselves in a safe place where we can do that, because that is the highest duty.
Yeah.
So I hope you don't mind, I just added that different perspective.
No, that's okay. I mean, ultimately we need to accept what's favorable for our Krishna consciousness. But sometimes we don't realize what's favorable for our Krishna consciousness. And we always have to be trying to elevate ourselves. So if you think that, the process of Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada said, one of the things that it does is that although everyone is born a Shudra in Kali Yuga, it elevates the Shudra to the higher status of life. Srila Prabhupada said that this movement is for creating Brahmins. So sometimes when devotees say, oh, I'm just a Shudra, it's only Grihastha ashram for me, it can be false humility. It can also be just a reluctance to accept really what's favorable. I'm not saying that for everybody, but I'm just saying that this Shudra thing is, to some degree, can be a bit of a cop-out. And it's our duty that although maybe we're born as Shudras or less than Shudras or whatever, but it's our duty to elevate ourselves. There's actually, if you read the 5th canto, there's actually a hell for those who are Shudras and do not elevate themselves above the Shudra, status. So if you're born a Shudra and you die a Shudra, you actually go to a hell for that. I'm not trying to scare anyone, but it is there on the 5th canto. So it's actually our duty as human beings to elevate ourselves. So yeah, we're born Shudra. Don't stay a Shudra. We need to, purify ourselves from the mode of ignorance, because Shudra is a Shudra because of the mode of ignorance. And through knowledge and through association and through service to Krishna and the process of bhakti, then just as a bell metal can be changed into gold through an alchemical process, so, a person who's like a Shudra can be purified through the process of diksha, through doing devotional service under the instructions of a spiritual master. So we should not stay Shudras. We have to rise. We have to rise. Human form of life is about rising. Even the animal forms of life are about rising. It's like they finish one animal body, they go to the next one up. And then they finish that body, they go to the next one up. So human life, we may start off as Shudras, but get up. Don't stay lying in the gutter down there. We're trying to make it back to Godhead in one life. And it can be done. But it's not going to happen if we're, oh, I'm just a Shudra, don't expect too much from me. We have to really have full faith in the process of bhakti, that this process can elevate us to a status which is higher than a Brahmin. That was made very clear by our acharyas. Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had a huge debate on this topic, that a Vaishnava is higher than a Brahmin. How can we call ourselves Shudras? How can we say, oh, what's good for, these Varnashram designations that apply to Shudras apply to me? No. We're Vaishnavas, so we need to really push ourselves. It's not an easy life. Prabhupada said that an easygoing life and Krishna consciousness go ill together. We need to actually push ourselves to come up and take shelter and hold on to the lotus feet of devotees who are up there, and they can lift us up. So it's 2 things. It's our endeavor, and it's the mercy of the senior Vaishnavas. It's like the Damodar Leela, right? 2 fingers too short. So the two things that enabled Mother Yashoda to tie Krishna. 1, her endeavor, her intense desire to do it, and her effort that she put into it. And then the other thing, the mercy of the Lord. When He sees that we're sincere, when He sees that we're really trying, then He, by His grace, He allows us. He lifts us up. He enables the impossible to become possible. So we should put full faith in the process of devotional service, that it can take us to the highest status, materially and spiritually. Okay, it's getting late, so you better stop there. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.